Здравствуйте, everyone. Hello, my name is Lauren, and I will be your instructor today for the IOAA Academy. Today we'll be going over some basic Russian. So this is a super valuable skill for any aspiring astronaut to have. Russia has a huge space program, and so no matter where you're working, you're probably going to end up working with a Russian cosmonaut if you want to go into space travel. And so if you're going to do that, you need to know some basic Russian. So the goal of today's video is to teach you how to say hello, how to introduce yourself, ask someone how they're doing, and then also be able to know some of the basic vocabulary surrounding space. So in this little mini series, we'll be doing a few different videos like this. After this, in the next couple ones, we'll be going over the alphabet. So this will be really important for helping you be able to pronounce things correctly and learn how to do some basic reading so that you can teach yourself vocabulary. And then in the third video, we'll be doing some basic grammar. So understanding that will be a really good foundation for you to continue your education on the Russian language. So this is a super fun language. It's very different grammatically from a lot of languages that people know, so it's a bit challenging, but it's really fun, and there's a lot of really cool cultural things to learn about. So I'm super excited to be teaching you guys. A little bit of background about me. I am an aspiring astronaut. I'm currently studying Aerospace Engineering at the University of Colorado in Boulder in the United States. And languages are one of my passions. So I've studied Spanish and French, a little bit of Arabic, and now Russian. So very excited to be able to share my knowledge with you guys. I am by no means a native speaker, but I do know a bit of Russian, and I'm really excited to share what I do know with you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first things that's really important to know about the Russian language before we even start learning vocabulary is that Russia has various levels of formality. So if you're informal with somebody, this would be like a friend or family or somebody who's younger than you, and you're going to use entirely different words than you would if you're using formal vocabulary with somebody like a professor or your boss or somebody who's interviewing you or even a coworker that you don't know super well. And so we're going to use two different forms based off of that. The word for you informally is tui, and the word for you formally is vui. So tui, vui. This is going to sound really familiar if you already speak French, because in French it's tu and vous, so it's kind of the same idea, if that helps you at all. If not, don't worry about that. But yeah, so pay attention to that when you're speaking. So this is going to impact everything, including hello, which is going to be our first main thing. So the word for hello that you guys have probably heard before is привет, 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 and make sure you practice along with me. Speaking out loud is really important to being able to learn this language and to being able to pronounce everything correctly. So let's try it one more time. Привет, and make sure that you're rolling your R's, so it's not привет or привет, it's привет. So this will make you sound like a real native Russian speaker. So this is a very informal way of saying hello. It's almost like saying hi or hey. Another way to informally say hello is здравствуй, здравствуй. So if you're a little bit intimidated by this word, that's okay. It's super long and it's a lot of syllables all together, a lot of consonants back to back. But I'll say it slowly for you guys. Здравствуй, здравствуй, здравствуй. Then a little bit faster. Здравствуй, здравствуй, здравствуй. So practice that a couple times until you're comfortable. Feel free to pause the video right now and practice. Hopefully you guys all saw that I included a little note sheet that's got all of the spellings of these words, so you can read along. I think it's really helpful if you're a visual learner to see how it's pronounced. So I've got the Russian writing in the Cyrillic alphabet, and then I also have a romanization of it. So if you are a native speaker of English or Spanish or French or Portuguese or German or most of the European languages, this will be really helpful. But yeah, здравствуй is informal. If you want to get a little bit more formal, you can say здравствуйте. So it's the same word, just with tia at the end instead of uy. So здравствуйте, здравствуйте, здравствуйте. Once again, this is a bit of a mouthful. There are 12 letters in this word. So please take your time practicing this. This is really important. And it's okay if you're struggling at first. I know we spent 2 full classes just working on how to say hello in my class. So it's okay to be intimidated by this, but keep practicing and you'll be sounding like a native speaker in no time. So, здравствуйте, здравствуйте. So once you can say hello, a really logical next step is wanting to introduce yourself. So in order to say, my name is blank, you would say, меня зовут, and then your name. So for example, since my name is Lauren, I would say, меня зовут Lauren. So an interesting thing to note here is that in Russia, they really don't have the word is, so you don't ever use to be in any form. So it's not my name is Lauren, it's my name Lauren. So меня means my, and then зовут is name. So меня зовут, my name, and then just your name. If you want to ask somebody how to say their name, it's pretty similar. So it's going to be как тебя зовут. So recognize that same word зовут, which means name. But this time you're asking, what is your name? So your is тебя, and this is the informal version. And then как is how or what. So what is your name? Как тебя зовут? If you wanted to be more formal, you can say как вас зовут? Вас, kind of like Jim Voss, if you guys know of him. He's an American astronaut who happens to teach at my university. So как вас зовут? Как тебя зовут? So for a little sample dialogue, person A could say, здравствуйте, как вас зовут? And the second person could say, здравствуйте, меня зовут Lauren. Как вас зовут? Меня зовут Jim. And that would be, hi, what's your name? Hi, my name's Lauren. What's your name? My name is Jim. So this is a good practice dialogue. I've got it written down for you guys. So if you have a partner to practice with, awesome, go ahead and practice with them. I'm sure you can reach out to a bunch of people in IOAA and find a partner that way. If you don't have a partner, no worries. You can practice both sides of this dialogue by yourself, and it's really good practice. If you are practicing with a partner, make sure that you switch back and forth about who's asking which question first, so that you really get the full experience. But after this, you might want to ask how the person's doing. So an interesting cultural note is that in Russia, if you ask someone how they're doing, this isn't the same as in English, where it can often be like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Good, how about you? Where it's very short and brief. And in Russian, this is a much deeper question where you're really wanting to get to know like how the person is. So if you say, how are you? They're going to tell you about everything that happened since the last time that you saw them and how they felt about it all. So be prepared for a bit of a longer answer. So the way that you say, how are you, if you're being formal, is как дела? Как дела? So it's that same word как that we used from what is your name, but this time it means how instead of what. So как дела? And then дела is more like doing, so like how are you doing? Rather than how are you, but you use it the exact same way. So formally, как дела? Как дела? Как дела? And then informally, it's going to be как делаешь? Как делаешь? Как делаешь? So it's the exact same base word, but conjugated differently. So we'll get into that in the third lesson. But for now, just memorize как дела? Как делаешь? Как дела? Как делаешь? So then to respond to this question, I'm going to give you guys 3 options. You can say good, bad, or regular. So good is хорошо, 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 and don't forget to roll that R. And then bad is плохо, плохо, плохо. And so then the third way of saying how you are would be нормально. So just like the word normal in English, but you add a n to the end. So нормально, нормально, нормально. So an example conversation could be здравствуйте, как дела? Хорошо, как дела? Хорошо. So that would be, hello, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. But one thing that might sound a little bit more natural is to say good, thank you, and you. So if you want to do that, the word thank you is спасибо. So you might have heard this one before. Спасибо, спасибо, спасибо. This is a really important one, so make sure that you know this if you don't know anything else. Spasiba. And then if you wanted to say and you would say itwi. So the word for and is I. So itwi, ivwi, itwi, ivwi, where twi is informal and vwi is formal. So putting this all together, we can have a little conversation where person A says, Здравствуйте, как дела? And the second person says, Хорошо, спасибо, ивwi. And the first person says, Регулярно, спасибо. So that would be, hello, how are you? Good, thank you. And you? Normal, thank you. So this is a pretty standard conversation that you might have upon meeting someone or catching up with somebody. So then when you're ready to end the conversation, we've got a couple different ways to say goodbye. Once again, based off of formality, this is going to show up a lot. So if you're going to say goodbye informally, you can say пока. So that's kind of like saying bye. And then if you want to say it formally, it's до свидания. So that's more like saying goodbye. So practice those. Пока, 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 пока. And then до свидания, до свидания, до свидания. And до свидания is two different words. So it's da and then свидания. But you can see that in the handout that I've included for this. So putting those all together for one last conversation, we can have person A say, Здравствуйте, как вас зовут? And then the second person says, Здравствуйте, меня зовут Lauren, как вас зовут? And the first person says, Меня зовут Jim, как дела, Lauren? And then Lauren says, Хорошо, спасибо, Ивы. And then Jim says, Нормально, спасибо, до свидания. And Lauren says, до свидания. So see if you can go through and see what those words mean on your own. Practice that. If you're a little bit stuck, you can rewatch this and rewind and look at your note sheet. But also, I recommend practicing this conversation, even if it's just as you're walking around your house doing chores, just practicing it in your head. It's really helpful, getting as much repetition as you can so that these words really stick. I know a lot of them are very different from what you're used to, so really repetition is the best way to remember all these words. Additionally, play to your strengths. So if you are an auditory learner, listening to this video a bunch will be really helpful. If you're a visual learner, looking through the worksheet and writing down flashcards and memorizing that way is really helpful. If you learn by doing, having practice conversations is really helpful. So yeah, just practice this as much as you can, and it will stick eventually. But now for some of the really fun space words. So I know that this is why we're all here, is because we all want to be astronauts. So a super important word to learn is astronaut. So I'm sure you guys know that in Russia they don't call them astronauts, they call them cosmonauts. So to say this in Russian, it's kosmonavt, kosmonavt, kosmonavt. So really, really similar, just instead of having a U, you have a V, kosmonavt. And then if you want to say, I am an astronaut, you would say, Я космонавт. So, Я is I. So, Я космонавт. If you are a woman, it's Я космонавта. So, you just add an A at the end. Я космонавта. So, go ahead and practice this a few times. Я космонавт. Я космонавта. Я космонавт. Я космонавта. And then from this word, we can look at the root of it, cosmos, and that just means space. So cosmos, very similar to how in English we have the word cosmos. It's kind of spelled the same way. So cosmos, cosmos, cosmos. And then another important word is rocket. And this one's basically the exact same as in English. So raketa, 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 raketa. So hopefully that has been a good introduction for you guys, and you guys will be able to study this and learn all these words so that you can be speaking Russian confidently and be able to introduce yourself and say that you are an astronaut, because we're all going to be astronauts someday because of this wonderful community that we're in that really provides all the support that we need so that we can achieve our dreams. And I'm so confident in all of you and believe in you. I'm so proud of you for taking this step in pursuing your dreams. So thank you so much for listening today. I look forward to working with you guys on the future videos. Please feel free to send me any questions that you have. If you want to practice, I'm happy to practice with you. This is something I'm really passionate about, so I'm really excited to be working with you guys. Have an absolutely wonderful day. До свидания.